Becky here. Welcome back to my channel. I am here to do my summer vacation book haul. One of the things I bought while I was in Edmonton at one of the big Indigo stores, which is the big box store in Canada, like Barnes and Noble, is this mug. Isn't it adorable? They have one like this, but with cats on it instead. And then inside it says nose in a book. And I had half a coffee left. My daughter put it in this mug for me, warmed it up. You can see it's empty now. I literally just left this here beside me, went inside to make some room on my phone storage, and I came back to a completely empty cup of coffee. So one of these dogs in my house drank all my coffee. I don't know what to say, but they didn't break my mug. I thought for sure if they got to it, they would have spilt it and like knocked it over and broke it. So this is the cute mug anyways. And I could have just sat here pretending to drink nothing as my coffee, but I think that's hilarious. The dogs drank all my coffee. So we'll see which one's hyped up, I guess. They're all just kind of like laying around, chilling out. Maybe it'll have the opposite effect on them and calm them down. There is definitely coffee spilt on some of my books though. So they lapped it up and sprayed coffee everywhere. That's awesome. We love that for me. So let's just jump in. It's not going to be a very long book haul. I buy a lot of books in a year, but I have been hauling them in the vlogs that I've been doing instead of doing separate haul videos. Even though I have been told that haul videos do really well, I just don't buy enough at a time to do one single book haul, and then if I wait too long I'll forget, stuff like that, whatever. So I've just been adding like little unboxings and stuff in my videos. So I got a bag of books in Quebec. It was $4. We got 6 books in it, and my daughter bought it for me. It was very sweet. So we opened that while we were in Quebec, so I will share that footage here, and I'm not going to talk about them again. I don't really talk about them in the unboxing. Unbagging, we called it, because the books came in a brown paper bag, so my daughter called it an unbagging of books. I don't really give the synopsis there of any of the books, but they're old, like, paperback books that are hard to sell, right? Kind of thing. Like, I mean, they put 6 books in there for $4, so coffee stains on all of my books now. I thought it would be safe. It wasn't. All right, we're gonna do an unbagging of the books. Yeah. Maya bought me and she's gonna open it apparently. You open it one time. How about this one? We went to this bookstore in Sherbrooke, and it is a surprise bag for $4. Alright, okay, restart. Alright, let's open up this surprise bag. It's gonna be too loud to actually have video recording in this. Yes, there's clearly glass or something. Okay, it's great. Okay, I can see the first one. Here's the bookmark of where we went. Scan them. Okay, Maya, you want to pull out that first book? Sure. The first one is called A Sudden Fearful Death by Anna Perry. I got James Patterson, Chris Cross. Nice. This used to be like one of my favorite series. A Cold Creek Homecoming by Rayanne Bay. Nina Gray, Pale Moon Rising. They shared a past, but can they share a future? You're like blogging me with my stack of books. What is this? Country Strong by Linda Lale Miller. I got one more. Greg Isles, The Footprints of God. I've heard of him. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 books for $4. That's pretty good. Yeah, and then you bought $3. You bought $3. You bought 3 books, and it was more expensive than this entire pack. Yeah, it was very expensive. Thank you, Maya. Welcome. That was fun. Oh, you're nice and cold from the pool. Yeah, and this is very hot. Brand new LLM story. What's LLM? I'm guessing that's her name. Linda Lale Miller. Oh yeah. Painted Pony Creek. It's a cowboy romance. Exciting. This is a Harlequin selection. Anyways, I'm gonna go jump in the water now. I just got a stack of books here. I'm gonna start at the top and work my way down. So I got The Littlest Library. This one, did I get this one while I was in Quebec? I think so. And it just looked really cute. We love a good little free library. And they're popping up all over the place here where I live. It's like every other day I feel like a new free little library is opened up. So that's exciting. I'm going to read the little tagline here at the top. A heartwarming literary themed novel about a woman who turns an ordinary red phone box into the littlest library in England and brings together a struggling village. I like books about books, so this is going to go into my books about books bookshelf. So our main character is Jess, and she's living a perfectly content, quiet, predictable life. And then her beloved grandmother passes away and she loses her job at the local library. Her life is turned upside down, and she decides it's time for a new beginning. Unable to part with her grandmother's cherished books, she packs them all up and moves to a tiny cottage in the English countryside. That sounds amazing. Can I do that? She discovers she is now the owner of an old red phone box that was left on the property, and she's missing her job at the library and decides to give back to her community by turning it into this little library. So she's bringing the villagers together and managing to draw Jess's grumpy but handsome neighbor out of his shell. So it sounds like just a regular contemporary with a little bit of romance with the grumpy neighbor. So I'm excited to get into this one eventually. Who knows when? That's the problem with book hauls, right? In Quebec at that same bookstore. It's called Black Cat Books in Sherbrooke, Quebec, if you're ever there. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram. It was mostly English books, and they spoke English there. The other bookstores I went into were like almost all French, and they had very small sections of English books. Even like the Value Village and Goodwill and stuff, they had mostly French books there with just small sections of English. So this one is mainly English bookstore, so that was exciting. I got this Monk and Robot, which is part of the A Psalm for the Wild Built and Prayer for the Crown Shy. Is this the first one? I believe this is the first one. Let's hope so. And I love the cover of this. It's a very like pastel kind of green. I think it's showing up fairly well in the video. Most people have read this already. I love the flowers and everything on it. Well, not most people, but I've heard a lot of people talking about it who have read this and have enjoyed it. I have never read a Becky Chambers before that I know of, but I've heard a lot of really good things. And for the past couple of years, my birthday is in November. It's the last day of November. Not for the past couple of years, my entire life, that's been my birthday. But for the past few years, I've been thinking about reading books where either the author shares my name, Becky or Rebecca, or a character has my name, and reading those all throughout the month of November for my birthday. And I just keep not getting to it because I have so many other things. The one year for my birthday, I read Friends themed books and stuff because Friends is my favorite sitcom. Yeah, maybe this will be the year I read it. I'll have a newborn baby, so I'll either have more time for reading or less time for reading, or less mental energy and space for reading. We'll see what happens. I thought about reading Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, but I'm not sure if that's the kind of book I would like or not. The old like gothic style, I might not like it, but I might just get it as an audiobook and see how I'm feeling about it. We'll see. And then I have another book, I think it's called Rebecca Not Becky, or Becky Not Rebecca. One of those ways it is, and it's about like the main character I think is a white woman, and then she befriends this new black woman who moves into the neighborhood, and the white woman sees it as like a way to show like how open she is and not racist, and look at me, I have a black friend and stuff. I think it's that kind of story. I bought it last year, I believe, but that has Rebecca and Becky both in the title. And then Becky Chambers is one of the ones I've been thinking about reading for those vlogs as well. So if you don't know about Monk and Robot, it's been centuries since the robots of Panga gained self-awareness and laid down their tools, centuries since they wandered en masse into the wilderness, never to be seen again, centuries since they faded into myth and urban legend. One day, the life of a tea monk is upended by the arrival of a robot, there to honor the old promise of checking in. The robot cannot go back until the question of what do people need is answered. But the answer to that question depends on who you ask and how. They're going to need to ask it a lot. Becky Chambers' series asks, in a world where people have what they want, does having more matter? Maybe watch for a vlog at the end of November, beginning of December, about me reading books with authors named Becky in them. And then the last book I got there that wasn't part of the bag of books I got was totally a cover by The Last Spell Breather. The sticker on the back says it's $15.50 and it was 30% off, so it was like $10. So that is why I did the cover buy. If it was like more than the 15, I wouldn't have. I try not to do cover buys unless it sounds really, really interesting. But this, I believe, is middle grade, but isn't it cute? And I absolutely adore foxes, so I love it. This is where all the bookmarks went. And the writing is like quite large in it as well. I believe it's a middle grade. And the little blurb thing on the front says, "Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words, that's a whole different story. Spell breathing does not come naturally to Rain. She loathes the hours of practice, the stacks of scrolls, and the snapping mud devils that cover her mother's precious spell book. But it is spell breathing that keeps her village safe from the dreaded monster curse that plagues their world. It is ancient, powerful magic, but as Rain learns to her horror, it is also fragile. In one clumsy move, the magic that keeps them safe is broken, her village is plunged into danger, and an incredible adventure begins." So I'm so excited to jump into this. And as a mom, like, I don't read a ton of middle grade, so I do tend to enjoy the ones that I do read, but it's also really good because I can pass it on to my kids after as well. So this one is definitely, even if I don't like it, I think I'm going to keep it and just like display it because it's so cute. And I have a shelf downstairs with a bunch of like foxy things on it, so this can go on there. In Edmonton, before we went to Quebec, I did pick up, coffee stains everywhere, this Christian nonfiction book called I Want to Trust You But I Don't by Lisa TerKeurst. And the reason why I got this one is just because I love Lisa TerKeurst and I relate to her writing so much. So there's a few of her stuff. Some of it I read the synopsis for it. I'm like, I don't know if I need that right now, if that's something that's bothering me, if I feel like I need that message. But I do want to read like everything she writes anyways. But I try to pick the ones that I feel like are more relevant to me right now. And out of all the ones there, I liked the sound of I Want to Trust You But I Don't. Moving forward when you're skeptical of others, afraid of what God will allow, and doubtful of your own discernment. Some of her books include Good Boundaries and Goodbyes, which was another one that I have not read yet. Forgiving What You Can't Forget. Don't think I've read that one. It's Not Supposed to Be This Way is one that I read last year or the year before. I read it in the last 3 years, and that one I really connected with, and some from like 10 years ago. Anyways, that's just some of her books, and she has a website, Lisa with a Y. Where is it there? lisaterkurst.com. And yeah, I'm really excited. I have so many Christian nonfiction books. I need like a week to myself of like a self-improvement week, a self-something week. I don't know what I would call it, but like a spiritual retreat where I just sit and read all the books. And I know this is the problem, is reading books doesn't help anything. It changes nothing. You have to take what you learn from it and apply it to your life. I could read all the Christian books in the world, and it wouldn't matter if I don't apply any of them to my life. And like reading the Bible, I can read the Bible back and forwards and backwards, and I could learn the original languages of like Greek and Hebrew and do all the stuff. But if I don't apply any of it to my life, what's the point of reading all the books, right? What's the point of reading the Bible if it's not being applied to me? So I need a week to like take a couple of books that all maybe deal with the same theme in Christianity: self-identity, connecting with God, hearing from God, emotions, anything, like whatever. Just pick like a theme, parenting, marriage, and read those books and just spend time in a spiritual self-improvement retreat. That's what I need. Somebody send that my way, please. I was in Edmonton and went to Audrey's bookstore, which is an independently owned bookstore in downtown Edmonton. And I finally picked up Welcome to the Hunam Dong bookshop, because also cover by, because look how beautiful that is. Anybody knows me at all, they know I'm obsessed with cherry blossoms. Love that. This is Korean, right? Yes, the heartwarming Korean smash hit. Everyone is talking about this. Have I read it? No. I read a lot of these, like, I guess it's called like healing fiction and stuff, and I've read some that are Japanese, and I like them. They're usually split into like 4 or 5 different separate stories that all have a way of connecting or have some kind of like thread throughout that connects them, that I do like, but they're not like 5 stars necessarily. They're more like a 3.5 to 4.5 star. So I was a little bit reluctant to buy this because it was full price at $25, but I want to give it a try, and this is Korean, not Japanese, so it might be a little different. Well, it will be a little different, but it'll be interesting to see 2 different Asian cultures and how they write and how they might be similar to each other versus like North American, and how they would be different from each other, being Japanese and Korean. I don't think I've read any Chinese fiction, so maybe that will have to be on my list next. I also bought these cute little washi stickers. I am obsessed with stickers. I have a problem. I need to bullet journal because it involves like so many of the things I'm obsessed with, but I'm terrible at keeping up with it. I have no idea how to pronounce this lady's name. I'm assuming, yes, it's a lady. So I will Google that. I can't do it now I record on my phone, but Young Ju is burned out. I feel like a lot of people are feeling that, and that's just why this kind of fiction has come out recently, this like healing fiction. A lot of people, especially apparently in the East, Asian cultures, are feeling the burnout, and it's obviously resonating with people here in the West. I'm in Canada personally, North America. People are really feeling the burnout, I feel like. She's burned out. She did everything she was supposed to do. Go to school, marry a decent man, get a respectable job. Then it all fell apart. In a leap of faith, I'm gonna call her Yeong, abandons her old life, quits her high-flying career, and follows her dream. She opens a bookshop. In a quaint neighborhood in Seoul, surrounded by books, Yeong and her customers take refuge. I just love that. I want to go to this bookshop just for that alone and just sit and take refuge in the Hyeongdong bookshop. Sorry, I cannot pronounce anything that isn't English, and half the time I can't even pronounce English words. From the lonely barista to the unhappily married coffee roaster and the writer who sees something special in Yeong, they all have disappointments in their past. The Hyeongdong bookshop becomes the place where they all learn how to truly live. A heartwarming story about acceptance and the healing power of books. Welcome to the Hyeongdong bookshop is a gentle reminder that it's never too late to scrap the plot and start again. So we love that. That's awesome. Who drank my coffee? Was it you? You're not even looking at me. Did you drink my coffee? Because you got coffee on my book. Did you drink my coffee? Was that you? I was in St. Albert, just outside of Edmonton, and felt like I had to buy a book at this bookstore because my kids were being crazy. But this is Terry Fallis. I've read one book from him before, loved it. I picked up the other book from him that's like the sequel to the one I read about. The one I read was called The Best Laid Plans. Terry Fallis is Canadian, and this is the sequel I picked up. Self-published his debut novel, The Best Laid Plans, in 2007. This is the high road. Get ready for the most exciting local race ever to hit a Canadian federal election. In one lane, we have the incumbent Agnes McLintock, the crusty old engineering professor who won the seat by fluke and who has since shaken up Ottawa politics with his outspoken integrity. Lined up against him is Flamethrower Fox, the conservative who practically invented low road politics, and two others. Hi, Bowser. Welcome in. And along for the ride, reluctantly, is Agnes's executive assistant, Daniel Addison. For Daniel, supported by the lovely Lindsay, the campaign involves triumphs, disasters, home-baked cookie missiles, canvassing by hovercraft, and a thrilling election that catches the world's attention. It even brings the visiting U.S. President, POTUS, in Secret Service speech, and the First Lady, Flotus, you can work it out, to Agnes's riverside door. All this, and chess and love, and sub-zero male nudity, not to mention a collapsing bridge that shakes a government and puts Agnes in the spotlight. Hold on for the ride. So this is a fictional story about Canadian politics, and that is not my vibe at all. I don't even follow real politics, never mind fictional ones. But The Best Laid Plans was hilarious. I loved it. It's actually a mini-series if you want to check it out. I don't know where you could watch it. We watched it a long time ago when it was out because I loved the book so much. I wanted my husband to experience it, but he experienced it through the show. And it was just hilarious. So I'm really excited about this. And then I also picked up a while ago, it's called Albatross, and it's about somebody who ends up playing golf because they do some like test, and it's like, oh, you're gonna be excellent at golf, even though they never played golf before in their life. I think it's golf. And the gym teacher is like, you need to play golf, and then he ends up being like amazing at golf, but he doesn't like it, but he just does it because he's good at it and whatever. But they talk about it on the podcast Books Unbound, which is two women in Canada, so that's really exciting. And being Terry Fallis, he's Canadian, and Albatross is really hard to find outside of Canada, I guess. So I found a used copy of it when we were in Canmore in April in Alberta. So I bought it there. So I'm excited to have more Canadian reads and more Terry Fallis because I know I read him it wasn't in 2007. It would have been around 2010, 2011. I was part of a book club. That's the only reason why I picked it up. I never would have picked it up otherwise. I was part of an in-person book club and loved it. So I'm excited to finally, like 15 years later, read a little bit more Terry Fallis. I also picked up this book from Value Village, A Man Called Ove by Frederick Bachman, because I'm trying to read more of Frederick Bachman because I'm loving his stuff. Last year I read Britt Marie Was Here, and this year I read Anxious People. So I'm excited to get into this one that is like super popular, and they even made a movie about him. What is it, A Man Called Otis or something? They changed the name to be more Western sounding, and it's played by Tom Hanks. Do I watch the movie first or read the book first? Because the book is always better, so sometimes it's actually better to watch the movie first so then you're not disappointed. Maybe we'll do that and then I'll read this. I don't know when I'll get to it, but I know I love Frederick Bachman. This one got all the coffee spilt on it, so thank you so much to whatever dog it was. Was it you? These are some other stickers that I bought because unicorns. I'm going to do a unicorn vlog soon. This one I bought at Value Village as well. Talk Bookish to Me. The dog completely ruined it with my coffee. Thankfully, it only cost me $6. Damn dogs. That was my fault for thinking I could trust them. Clearly, I could not. This is another bookish book to go with my bookish book collection. Kara Sullivan's Life is Full of Love, a bleat fictional. Value Village likes to put the sticker right over top of the synopsis, and the stickers are impossible to come off. Like, why couldn't they at least have put it like down here in the corner that's just covering the publisher? Are they like not allowed to do that? I don't think it matters in a used bookstore. Publisher can be found other places if you care enough to look for it. As a best-selling romance novelist and influential bookstagrammer, she's fine with getting her happily ever after fix between the covers of a book. But right now, not only is Kara's best friend getting married next week, which means big wedding stress, but the deadline for her next novel is looming and she hasn't written a single word. The last thing she needs is for her infuriating first love, Ryan Thompson, to suddenly appear in the wedding party. But Ryan's unexpected arrival sparks a creative awakening in Kara that inspires the steamy historical romance she desperately needs to deliver. Are you the one who drank my coffee? Was it you? I have no idea. You just have dog breath. With her wedding duties intensifying, her deadline getting closer by the second, and her bills not paying themselves, Kara knows there's only one way for her to finish her book and to give her characters the ever after they deserve. But can she embrace the unlikely, ruggedly handsome muse who pushes every one of her buttons to save the wedding, her career, and just maybe write her own happy ending? So another bookish romance book. And I got one more book here that I also picked up from Value Village. And the only reason why I picked this one up is because I am 32 weeks pregnant and want to read books about pregnancy and delivering babies and having babies and motherhood and stuff. Like I did last year, my baby was due January 24th, and I read a couple of books in January about motherhood. One of them being Motherhood by Sheila Heti, and The Future Home of the Living God by Louise Eldridge, I believe. I remember reading those two, and then Milk, that was about breastfeeding. So I got this book. It's called Midwives by Chris Bojalian. It feels old. Like the cover of it and stuff doesn't seem very new. Copyright 1997, so it's a few years old. So I'll be reading this one soon. On an icy winter night in an isolated house in rural Vermont, a seasoned midwife named Sybil Danforth takes desperate measures to save a baby's life. She performs an emergency cesarean section on a mother she believes has died of stroke. But what if Sybil's patient wasn't dead and Sybil inadvertently killed her? As Sybil faces the antagonism of the law, the hostility of traditional doctors, and the accusations of her own conscience, Midwives engages, moves, and transfixes us as only the very best novels ever do. It's interesting that this is written by a man, and Chris is a man. Well, in 1997, he used he pronouns anyways. So it's always interesting to get a book like this. I don't think it's told from the perspective of like the lawyer defending the midwife. It's told from the perspective, I think, of the midwife. So that's interesting anyways. But yeah, I'll be reading this soon. I'll do a vlog of reading pregnancy books, I guess. Anyways, I'm going to wrap that up here. My little book haul stack here. So these are all the books I got on my vacation that I can think of right now anyways. And let me know what you bought this summer, what you're excited to read this summer, what you have been reading this summer. I've been reading a lot of good things that I've been talking about in a few different vlogs. So look out for those vlogs and what I've been reading. And I will see you soon in another video. Please like, comment, subscribe, all those good things, and I will see you next time. Bye.